Jack Summers, another Shit the Spectre, and I'm actually doing this episode from where I started doing this about 10 years ago in my home of Quiggleville, Pennsylvania, in the house I grew up in. So, I basically grew up in kind of, at least half my childhood, in sort of this little Stephen King-esque kind of village. People used to, when I was growing up, some of my friends would say this reminded them of the movie Pet Sematary or something like that. And it kind of does. There was a big church on the hill. It's quiet. They're not like people who live in the suburbs that live around here. They just people have a different sort of way of being. You know, they don't want to live with people too close to them and all that. And I like the peace and quiet. I like the peace and quiet too, quite frankly. Even though now I live in an apartment building in Bloomsburg, I did grow accustomed to the surroundings here in Quiggleville, which are much more tranquil than in town. But it's and I did. I mean, I'm not the most social person in the world. I mean, I've had friends and stuff like that, but I usually keep to myself. I have my own weird, quirky interests. I like horror movies, and I like documentaries about paranormal phenomenon, and I like science fiction and comic books and stuff like that. And I'm well into my adulthood, so I don't go and hang out with people and mix with too many people. Most people don't particularly like me, or they don't usually, because there's only more of a minority of people who maybe think and are into the same things that I'm into. I'm kind of a secular humanist. I like that term better than atheist or agnostic. So I don't jive with a lot of religious people, I guess, or maybe they don't jive with me, I don't know. I'm not taking full responsibility for me not getting along with a lot of these crazy fucks who voted for Trump. But a lot of them are evangelicals. And especially, in this day and age, I definitely don't get along with a lot of Trump people. I guess I wouldn't if I really interacted with them. I just try to avoid it altogether. I just won't. I'm not doing that shit. I'm sick of hearing about Trump. I don't want to go with this whole video as being about Trump. I'm just basically home and I'm doing a video. I haven't done one in a couple of weeks. And I just kind of wanted to, while I was out here visiting and dog sitting for my parents, I thought I'd come and make another video and shoot a few shots around where I used to live. But it's, and that's the thing about growing up in the country, you kind of become insulated from the outside world, and you try to not, you keep it out. And I can understand wanting to do that. I'm sort of fascinated with people who sort of tend to create their own world around them because they don't like the world they live in. I mean, who wouldn't? Crazy rich people do it, and just other sort of eccentric hermits, or whatever you want to call them, tend to do that as well. People that maybe go off the grid or something like that. I'm not so extreme that I want to go off the grid. I like to be on the grid a little bit. I like to keep one foot in this world and one foot in the other, and try to keep my head screwed on tight. That's sort of how I am about things. But I do like to do this little web series I've been doing for a while, and I've been trying to develop it into something. I wouldn't say I'm not super proud of it, but I do enjoy doing it. I've done some good things with it, but it's otherwise pretty amateurish at best, and I wouldn't any criticism I give for it, I don't take it that seriously anyway, or myself. So people say shit about me all the time when they react to my videos or any posts or comments online, because I'm usually already making fun of a lot of other things and people that I find stupid or objectionable to me personally. The one thing I do, in this, of course, again, doesn't have, I'm not going on any particular topic in this episode. I'm just sort of talking about things that have been swirling about in the past couple of weeks. And at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, that's the one thing that people were responding to. That was that comedian. They were getting, oh man, that she went over the line and stuff like that, busting up on Sarah Huckabee Sanders. It was like, I'm just bringing up the comedian's name because I can't remember it. But her name is Michelle Wolf. Okay. And Sarah Huckabee Sanders, it's like, the thing of it is, they busted up on Michelle Wolf more than they did Sarah Huckabee for all the blatant lying she's done for Donald Trump since she's been in office. And Sarah Huckabee Sanders deserves every bit of it. We should be calling these people out because I don't understand. I mean, Donald Trump's a prick. He's an awful. There's article after article, documentary after documentary. There's at least 2 documentaries on Netflix right now that you can go watch, and it's people that have worked for him, that know him, people from New York, and they can pretty much lay it all out for you about what a con artist he is and what a self-promoting P.T. Barnum sort of individual is, because he's not a businessman. There's plenty of people who are in real estate in this country who've amassed a greater fortune than Donald Trump, whose names you do not know. Donald Trump's good at selling his name. He has created a brand, but it's not really, he in and of himself, his business acumen is not good. He's incompetent. He doesn't know what he's doing. And the only people who voted for him, for the most part, I'm assuming, well, the vast majority of them, of course, do not know a fucking thing about him, clearly. That's why they voted for him. Because they made fun of all the other people that they don't like in politics, and like Hillary and Obama and all those. So they liked him because he roasted all the Republicans candidates when he was running, and that worked for him. Because it's just he's one of those characters that can. Look at like any cult, any well-known cult, and you think of the people who followed that, who got either ripped off or wound up in some suicide pact thing or whatever, and you think about that. And that's really what Donald Trump is. He's just a fucking cult leader for people who think that everybody else is out to take away their guns and, in some way, shape, or form, lie to them or rob them of something. They think something, usually conservative, and of course Democrats and liberals do the same thing, when they're running for office, want to convince you the other person is going to take something away from you. And that's kind of what's happened with Trump. He just convinced people, and I don't think anyone is like, people who are typically running for office, there's better people that are running in smaller municipalities and towns across America that are doing a better job running their towns than Donald Trump's doing running the country or whatever the fuck he's doing. He's not really running the country. He's just some senile rich guy that is being trotted around. It's only going to go so far. You can only he can't survive in the public eye in this way. He can do it like when he was in had the Apprentice show and all throughout in the 80s and stuff like that with this whole bullshit. I'm the king of New York act he put on and just banging hot models and all that stuff and the tradition of the family's tradition of narcissism, he's passed on his whatever he has, whatever he does have, and I wouldn't even call it necessarily wealth, onto his kids. Like, you can take the name and do what the fuck you want with it, because none of those kids ever worked for anything they have whatsoever. They are the epitome of like American royalty. They are incompetent, sloven, and they don't know what the fuck they're doing. But hey, Larry, there you go. You get a job, in the White House. He gives his daughter a job, who he apparently wants to fuck too. And I know that's been joked about and talked about a lot, but it's True. So I don't care about, like, this comedian. A comedian says something and people go, oh my god, that's over the line. Like Kathy Griffin had a fake rubber head, decapitated head of Donald Trump. Well, you know, let's look at this. Donald Trump is a horrible person. He says horrible things to people. So I don't care if someone is bashing him. Kathy Griffin wasn't bashing a good person. Kathy Griffin was bashing a bad person. That was her way of expressing that in a very extreme way. But back in the olden days, you used to decapitate leaders, you know, like Marie Antoinette and all that, who were bad. So that's kind of why she did it. To, you know, and people shit their pants over it. I didn't think it was a big deal. I don't care. And I think the thing is, it's weird. Conservatives, they all talk about the Constitution and freedom and everything like that, but they only care about their freedom. They care about their religious freedom, and they want to keep their fucking guns, and they want their freedom to speak their minds. They don't give a fuck about everybody else. Everybody else, shut the fuck up. You know, but as long as, you know, they can shape America into what they want it to be and get rid of everybody else, one way or another, or just at least make them irrelevant, so they no longer have a voice. And I think that's what's happening here. And I wanted to be a comedian when I was growing up and stuff like that. That's why when I hear about a comedian being, you know, like, silenced, I mean, of course they're going to get criticized for saying something really, you know, making a very distasteful joke or whatever. But when they're being censored, I really get pissed off, upset. Because that's not the kind of country I was taught that I grew up in, okay? I wasn't taught that this was a Christian nation, because it's not. Because this country was not designed, at least as far as I'm concerned, to endorse a particular religion. You have the freedom to practice any religion you want or not. Simple as that. That's kind of how I look at it. They make it into some other bullshit. They do. They're not about equality or being all-inclusive. They're about, I want to be better than you. I want to have more money. I want to belong to what I'm considered the true religion, because I need that part of my facade to make myself to seem like someone with a moral compass, even though you fucking don't. That's basically all it's about. And they think that they have the moral high road on everything. They think that, I mean, they want to arm teachers. That's their answer to solving the problem of gun violence in schools. Arming teachers, more guns. I mean, that's the thing. You're a teacher, and the thing is, you're not the person in this democracy who has a say over this, or is able, you know, just to really bring in their 2 cents and talk about this issue intelligently. No. You're just going to have some guns. We're just going to arm all the teachers. Well, the preschool got shut up. Well, let's just give all the freaking 5-year-olds guns, for God's sakes. We'll teach those kids how to shoot. You know, they don't care. They don't care about some lunatic walking into a gun store and buying a semi-automatic rifle or some shit. That's what's so fucking ridiculous about it. It's such a bullshit fucking country. But anyway, yeah, that upsets me. So I don't really, and you can still say whatever the hell you want, but the people who say whatever they want and are pointing out that the emperor has no clothes are being shut up more and more in this country, it seems. And that's really my whole take on it. I'm not very. It does alarm me. I think it should make us all take pause. But anyway, yeah. So I'm home for a little bit. I'm visiting, so I thought I'd just make a video out here. Because I used to make them here, so you know, it's just sort of like I'm. Well, it's not that special, but anyway. This has been another edition of The Spectre. I'm DS Yaxheimer. If you have any thoughts on anything I was talking about, it's mostly about the free speech in this country, which is pretty much becoming a bygone era, when you could say what you wanted to and without any fear of being silenced, or Donald Trump suing you, even though he he makes himself the punchline of every joke. He looks ridiculous, and he acts like a complete douche nozzle, but hey, you know, we can't make fun of him. I mean, if you're acting like a fucking buffoon, that's what we're supposed to do, and you're rich and you're doing bad things, like building a fucking wall on the southern border. That won't work because you know, people can dig under them, and like the drug cartels have been doing all along, or fly over it, and they got the shipping companies in their pockets. So I mean, what not to mention the border patrol and judges and lawyers and politicians, like they've always had. So that wall isn't going to fucking work. But people just don't get it. They don't understand that security technology from the Ming Dynasty isn't going to keep all those problems on the other side of the border. But anyway, that's my take on it. My name is D.S. Yoxheimer. This has been another edition of The Spectre from my original location in Quiggleville, Pennsylvania, which, if you're curious, it's just outside of Williamsport, Pennsylvania. If you don't know where that is, it's the home of Little League Baseball. Google it. If you have any thoughts on what I've been talking about, feel free to leave the comments below. If you want to subscribe, feel free to do so. And take care.